this off. What are you talking about?
It's your show, Willie.
Okay, welcome to the Willie T. Motherfucker Hadley show. Checky is not here. She said that shit is not fair. I told her the fair is where you go to get funnel cake.
You're going to introduce me or what, Willie?
I got a co-host this evening. His name is Hoppy freaking Mellow.
Hi, Willie. It's good to talk to you tonight. You're bringing me up already. I feel like you're on some sort of, I don't know, good vibes or good substance. Which is it?
I got some Miller Lights right here. We're about 6 in, so
yeah,
we're ready to record some podcasts.
And what do they call it when you're 6 in at 8:19? They call that Tuesday night.
Hell yeah, but I'm off tomorrow, so it's all right.
All right. Well, on the Off the Chain NASCAR podcast, we're going to do this one in two parts this week, folks, because we love having the whole chain gang together. This week, there's some extenuating circumstances. And so I figured me and Willie would just get on here, riff a little bit. Willie, you were trying to get more airtime. Checky's always talking over you. We can say anything we want about Checky tonight because she's not on, right? So, although I guess she will listen to it eventually. But, Willie, what would you like to kick off with about what we saw there, the action on the racetrack in Las Vegas?
So James Small, what is small about this guy? Is it his brain? Why the hell? Okay, I can understand. There's 9 laps to go in the stage. Oh, I'm going to stay out and get track position. You don't do that shit at the beginning of a stage.
Yeah, so you're referring to the pit call by Martin Truex Jr.'s crew chief, where he was the only car that stayed out. And then, yeah, afterwards, he beat himself up pretty good for that one. I was glad I was a little distracted at that point in the race because I didn't actually see that play out live. I've just been hearing about it since, and it sounds like it was pretty bad.
On Door Bubble Clear, they said he was trying to save a set of tires. But I think what happened was he seen BK freaking took 2 tires and got 9 spots, and he got damn spot envy.
Yeah.
I want spots. They got spots. I like spots.
Yeah, he's looking down pit road, comparing his track position to everybody else's and getting a little envious.
Yeah. And he uses a small brain, apparently.
Yeah. Truex is running good there in that first run of the race, and then he lost that track position, and I was actually impressed that he even recovered by the end of the race to 9th place because I had resigned myself that he was just going to finish 15th or 16th. So he was not that happy with the car in traffic at all. Not that many people are in traffic, but he was having trouble moving forward, and I was surprised to see he ended up with 9th. And this is the kind of day where you did not want to be the one driver to have a problem, like Blaney almost did. What the hell was going on with the Ryan Blaney situation?
Well, I think we decided it was shrinkage. It was the weather. When you got those templates, the weather. If you got imagine a steel template, and if it's colder in Vegas than it is in Charlotte, it can it's a real thing that happens. Trust me. There's shrinkage everywhere.
He's got shrinkage in his linkage.
Yes, the templates had shrinkage.
Yeah,
it's too cold in Las Vegas.
Well, the weirdest thing about it was I actually clicked and read the NASCAR update today about that they rescinded the disqualification of Blaney. And I was expecting to see somewhat of an explanation, but basically it just said, upon further review of our inspection process, we have decided to rescind the penalty. They didn't explain shit.
Well, I seen another explanation. It was saying because they have a template, and apparently it's more than one piece, and I guess so you can adjust it based on the temperature. I don't know, but you can adjust it, and they fucked up. It moved.
Oh, so it really was like a equipment malfunction.
Yeah, their go no go gauge was gone. Much.
Well, Blaney, so he went from, what is he back to? Back to 17 points out now, but he was with the DQ he was going to be 56 points out. Now 17 points out again, I believe. I have to pull it up. I don't have it up yet. So do you think Blaney can points race his way back in between Homestead and Martinsville?
I wouldn't count on it, because you know what's going to happen. Larson's going to win as long as as long as it's not like Elliott or the 24 up there, little baby Jesus Byron. As long as he's not taking a win from one of those two, it's definitely like Larson's probably going to win the damn race. And then like there's too many people on points.
Mm-hmm.
Or hell, if somebody else wins, it makes it even harder because there's only one on points.
Yeah, well, that's been a lot of the debate that I've heard today on podcasts is that, there's all this talk about, everybody assuming that after what they saw Logano do last year after winning Vegas, that he sort of that team put their sights on the championship, and that was kind of a different vibe as to how they were going about it. And I think, if Larson can go to Homestead, which he certainly can, and win at Homestead, which he already did, I believe, was it earlier this year or the end of last year he won Homestead? One of the two. If he just goes out and wins Homestead, all he does is keep more pressure on more other drivers to have to race their way in. So it's good for him to go out and win Homestead too, and he might just do it.
Yeah, I see a damn Gluck talking about, like, is it like baseball? There's the big debate. Is it like football or is it like baseball? Like in football, you rest your best players. In baseball, like you got to keep it in rhythm. So what's your take? Is it more like football or baseball?
I think you definitely don't want to do anything to really get fundamentally out of your rhythm. But they got to still go race. They can't just do nothing or say screw it, and it's not like they're gonna not show up at Homestead. I mean, Larson and we're talking about Kyle Larson here, and Cliff Daniels for that matter as crew chief. So these are two guys that want to go out and win everything. That they don't know any different. But I mean, and I think it could be a little bit more of a different story with Martinsville, because then at that point there's only one more week to go, and Martinsville isn't exactly Larson's favorite track. So, it might be a little bit different of an attitude about that. But when it comes to Homestead, Larson wants to go there and win, I'm sure.
Yeah, I kind of think Cliff Daniels was bullshitting him. Like when he's at the track, he's going to try to win the race, but when he's out of the track, he needs to be thinking about fucking Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, and now, I thought, obviously, William Byron dominated most of the Vegas race in the spring, and he really wasn't a factor as far as getting out front and leading laps. And I kind of figured we would see more William Byron in this race than we did. And I heard an interesting comment on, I guess it was the teardown with Gluck, saying that the setups have evolved so much since the spring that that it wasn't really that relevant for this fall race. And it just makes me wonder with these cars, it would be really interesting to know, like, what is it that's evolving on these cars so much that you can't go use what you learned at Vegas just this year?
I mean, you're trying to get the thing as low as you can to the ground without being too low, and then without blowing up the tires. I mean, they're all they get the parts at Walmart. You can only turn so many screws, but there's a lot of different combinations of screws to turn, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and we saw. I thought Reddick would be a bigger factor than he was, and Christopher Bell for finishing second in the race and doing everything he did, still 2 points out, on the outside looking in, but it's really tight. I mean, Obviously, I'll be wondering if Reddick or Blaney can tighten up the points anymore. Busher 23 out, he's sitting in 8th. He'd have to have a really good stage 1 and stage 2 at Homestead. But people are not talking about Busher as a threat to win Martinsville. I think he is, because for as long as I can remember, Busher has ran solidly at Martinsville no matter what car he's been in. So with the kind of season he's had, it wouldn't surprise me if they went out there and won Martinsville. But now, Denny has been mostly in a good spot these playoffs. Now he's only 2 to the good, along with Truex's 2 to the good. So you've got essentially 5 guys really tied for 4 guys tied for 3 spots is what it kind of looks like right now. We'll see if Reddick and Blaney can claw their way back in. But at this point, Willie, are you thinking we're going to see, Bell, Reddick, Blaney, Busher get in there? You think we're going to see a surprise win from one of these guys? What are you feeling right now?
Homestead, I'm thinking it's going to be Willie B or Larson win. So give me Willie B in. Larson. Hold on, let me look at my damn NASCAR app. See who else the other 2 are. You damn asking me questions. Oh, God bless. This is hard.
Yeah.
It's so close. I mean, but see, Tyler Reddick hadn't been running good. Like, I could totally see it not even changing and just being the top 4 we got now: Larson, Byron, Truex, and Hamlin. Because Truex is good at Martinsville. Yeah. And maybe he'll finally get the damn whatever the hell's been wrong with him the last 6 weeks or how long. Maybe he'll cure that shit up.
Maybe. I hope Truex really finds some mojo at Homestead, because he's going to need it. And you can't count on Truex to be good at Martinsville like he was in the past either, because this is just a different car, different situation. So I'm definitely nervous for Truex. I mean, everybody should be nervous. And, if you're Larson, like we said, that's what you want. Larson's going to have himself 2 much less stressful weeks coming up. I did want to say ask you, Willie, did you happen to see that clip on Twitter of the last lap drive from Bell's dashboard camera where he was, had the run on Larson? Did you see that?
Actually, no. I didn't. They freaking make me go to work. So I did not see every tweet. I try to see every tweet. I come close.
Well, it was very interesting because, I just don't, there was some lap traffic to get around, and that was an aspect of it. But Bell had a massive run coming off of 4 on Larson, and he basically just kind of drove into the back of him, bumped him, and then that was that. And I don't know, maybe his car was not as maneuverable as it needed to be to maintain that run and make a move, or I just don't know. Like it struck me as odd the way he managed that run to the line. He didn't really give himself a chance to win, even though it was unlikely at that point. So maybe that's a little bit due to the whole respect between Bell and Larson thing, and they don't want to, rough each other up, so to speak. But I don't know. It just, for a race win and run, it seemed like he mismanaged it. You'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, if he had a couple more laps, he would have passed him probably.
Oh, for sure. No, he definitely would have gotten inside or outside on him. In just another lap or 2. Yeah, it was interesting to me that, Busher does not have a good 1.5-mile track record, and he qualified 5th. Keselowski qualified 21st, and it ended up being Keselowski being the one that actually got out front for a little bit and led some laps. So I find that interesting that BK got some lap leading time, and then Chastain got some time out front, which we haven't seen much on the 1.5 miles this year, with the exception of Nashville, really. And Chastain was working over Bell with 77 to go, and I was thinking, damn, Chastain's gonna, have something for these guys and potentially, win this race right after he got eliminated. But it didn't end up playing out that way. Did you find it to be an entertaining Vegas race, Willie, for you personally?
We can just go to Jeff Gluck now. I was not spoiled. Hopefully you weren't.
No, I did not get counterfeited.
You're changing. I feel like you changed the definition of the word counterfeited. I've never heard anybody use it in that context.
It's a poker term, Willie. It's a poker term.
Well, if you're seeing what the other people have, that's not counterfeit. Isn't that like cheating?
No, I'll explain it to you some other time.
That sounds like cheating if you know what the other people have.
Oh, my God. I realized why we didn't let Checky on this podcast.
Well,
she freaking picked the 5 to win at Vegas.
Wow.
She got another damn win.
All right. So I think Gluck, I listened to the He Air Down, and I'm trying to remember what they said. I think they were saying like 70s. I don't think it was that high. I mean, it was okay, but like not a lot of shit happened. That's that's how I go by my shit'll happen meter.
Yeah.
So I'm going like 57%.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I feel very conflicted about it myself. I mean, I was a little bit, busy doing some other chores and stuff around the house, and I had the race on most of the time, but I was kind of splitting attention between stuff I was doing plus, watching a little football here and there, and mostly on the race. But I just, I don't know, man. I can't say that I was really enthralled by anything that was happening. There were, I guess a few cautions, but the restarts did get pretty dicey. And that, that run to the finish, I think, was the most entertaining part. As would Bell get there, and it looked like he was closing. And I guess, given the way mile and a halves have scored this season, they tend to be better received in general. I'm gonna guess that this one scores a little bit better. I think your score is fair, but I think it's going to score actually a little bit better than that. So I'm going to go 68.8. And since Checky's not going to listen to this, we can go ahead and look and see.
You not record her part and then Lisa?
Yeah, but I'm going to already know when I ask her.
All right, I'm trying to look. Hold on.
Last year, Vegas fall was at 85.6. So we could be low. It's probably in the 70s.
Damn, I'm on Twitter and I'm not. Damn, I can't find it.
You can't get it up?
No, yeah. I've got it. It's curved.
By the way, can they possibly show that freaking PD commercial anymore during NASCAR races?
Well, the only good thing is, like, I usually keep the TV on mute, especially during the commercials.
That's a reason to, right there. It's ridiculous. Like, I have a 7-year-old son watching this. It doesn't need to be every single time. It's just crazy. Like, and so I find myself just randomly asking my son stuff when that commercial comes on. I'll be like, hey, what about this?
What about? He's like, and he's old enough. He's old enough to. He doesn't know about boners that much yet. I mean, maybe just like a random boner here and there.
It's just like I didn't sign up for that. I didn't want to sign up for that. All right, we're looking for Gluck here, right?
Okay, I had to turn the computer on because my phone is what the problem was.
Oh, I got it. 73.
Wow. Yeah.
That's gonna come down to what Checky says. We'll see. I feel like she's gonna eke me out.
All right, and so now I gotta pick my damn winner. Boy, I'm gonna pick Larson's gonna damn double down. It is. He's that good.
You're going Larson 2 in a row?
Larson's going to double down.
Yeah. Not a bad call, I'd say. I mean, it's hard to imagine somebody else beating him right now. The only other person I could imagine beating him at Homestead is the guy who has gotten hot there before, and that's the 11 car. I'm going for him back-to-back week picks. I do think Denny Hamlin can do it, but we'll see if he's got the setup or not.
All right.
Now, Willie, are there any news items you'd like to address while I got you this week?
News items.
News items in NASCAR.
We haven't talked about.
Yes.
I will say I watched that damn video of that guy at Winchester doing a burnout. Did you think he knew that there was a guy standing next to him when he did the burnout? I was unclear about that.
Yeah, so you're talking about this like short track local deal where some dude walks out to the car and then he does his victory burnout and takes the dude, like sweeps the leg, Johnny.
Yeah, to the guy that he wrecked to win.
Yeah.
I
mean,
the ran the track and then so it's like it sounded like a Tony Stewart. It was like a slow motion Tony Stewart. Or the guy right on the track, so Tony's like, I'm going to gun it. If you want to walk on the track, I'm just going to gun it.
Yeah, I mean...
He didn't see him.
Yeah, it's hard to say because he was back there by the quarter panel and stuff, and, it all happened quickly, so I don't know. But the whole thing's stupid. You shouldn't have people walking out onto the track. And can we not get a clue that, like, drivers' dads need to stay out of it in general? Like...
Yeah, Logano had to tell his dad not to come to the track, right?
Yeah, and whose dad got involved just the other day that we were talking about? Some other driver in Cup. Or Xfinity or something. And maybe it was Xfinity. But
what driver are you talking about?
That's what I'm trying to remember. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this just came up the other day, this season. With some driver's dad getting involved.
In a fight or something? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, there was a skirmish on pit road, and it was like the dad was up in it.
Oh, yeah, it was in Busch race, right?
I think so.
The dad got kicked out of NASCAR for the rest of the year? He's not allowed in NASCAR for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Oh, fuck, I know what you're talking about. It was like, fucking, damn... The old guy that drives the yellow and black car and trucks. What's his name? God bless. The 88?
Oh, crap. No.
Yeah, Crafton punched the kid, and then his dad tried to
that's
punch
what
him.
It was, yeah.
His dad for the rest of the year. He's not allowed to go to the track.
Yeah.
Well, who did Matt Crafton punch? Oh, it was Dirty Sanchez. Wasn't it? So Dirty Sanchez's dad is banned from NASCAR for the rest of the year?
Yeah.
So we pieced it together. The two we found.
It was mostly you. But
you knew the story. You just didn't know the names.
Right.
And I knew the names, but I didn't know how to say them out loud.
I'd say if you were one more Miller Lite into it, we would have been totally screwed. All right. Do we have anything else happen in racing this week? I feel like we did.
Damn, hog all the time. We got to give Checky her time in this episode.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, I feel like we hit all the main points. These are all the interesting things to see. There is still talk. I guess the one other thing that I was thinking was it seems like there's, continuous chatter about can't we move the playoff race or the championship race, out of Phoenix, which I'm for because they don't really put on a great show at Phoenix. But of course,
all you do is switch the two tracks the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. If all we did was alternate between Homestead and Phoenix, that would be something. But last week I was talking about going to Vegas, and it was interesting how on multiple podcasts today and yesterday it came up naturally about wouldn't Vegas be a good place to hold the championship? And in both those conversations, it was an immediate realization that, no, it's an SMI track, not going to happen. And that's some bullshit. I think,
Well,
because
I mean, who knows? There could be a concession. Like there's like they still don't. The owners still don't have a fucking agreement.
yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with SMI.
Well, Marcus is a big part of this. I mean, it's. I mean, it's not. It's a. What I mean is, I don't know.
And yeah, speaking of which, they still don't have anything that resembles a TV deal signed, and it's going to be one of these things where everybody tries to wait everybody else out, and it's going to get down to like seriously the 11th hour.
That $40 million charter in like a year and a half is gonna be worth $0 fucking dollars.
Well, I think it's going to get down to the very last minute to where there's no other options left, and then they're all going to get in a room, and NASCAR is going to be like, "You're getting this, you're getting this, you're getting this," and everybody's going to be like, "I don't have any." Like, I think everybody's going to be pissed off when it comes down to a last minute thing that nobody agrees with. That's how I see it going down.
I mean, basically, Hendrick and Penske are gonna have to save it.
Yeah.
Hendrick and Penske need to get down freaking Jim France in a damn on a boat in the Bahamas. It costs $100 million and to figure that shit out.
Well, we're just gonna have to show up and see. All right. Well, here's the other thing I remembered. Kevin Harvick gets to drive the number 4 Budweiser car at Phoenix that he won the championship in. That or at least that paint scheme, homage to the very first year of the Cup chase, the chase for the Cup playoffs. Harvick won it narrowly over Newman at Homestead. Got his only championship in that red Bud ride in the 4. You excited to see that paint scheme one more time, Willie?
Well, I like a white Bud is probably better than a red Bud. I mean, don't you think? When you're isn't the white better?
Yeah, but what he drove for the championship was the red one. It had some white accents to it.
When it's clean.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can really beat the Dale Jr. white Budweiser car with the baseball stitching on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like red, but and the white 29, come on. 2001. It wasn't Bud, but it was still a good looking white car.
Yeah. All right. Well, we did our part. We did our civic duty, Willie. We put in our time. We broke down the race for all our fans. And we'll see how this comes together in the end, because we've never done this before. But the Chain Gang here is committed to NASCAR insights and good times every week at some point. So we hope you all enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Thanks for everybody for listening. Willie, time to crack open another one and keep the party going. Welcome, NASCAR fans, to a very special edition of this week's Off the Chain with Hoppy Mellow, NASCAR Racing Podcast, to talk about part 2 of the saga in Las Vegas to kick off this final round of the playoffs. We did not have the whole Chain Gang together, so we're doing something special this week, which is I tracked each one of them down individually and said, you got to still come on this podcast and talk to me about Vegas. It's too important not to. So as you probably already know, we had Willie's session, and now we're on to the Checky Swags session for part 2 this week. Now, Checky Swags has been out and about all week, and not to races, but to state fairs and things like that. Now, Checky has spoken like she had, a wild night out last night, because what she said to me right before we went on the air was, she said, all right, let's get it on. Like, I can't remember anything that happened this past week. Checky, how you doing this evening?
Well, Hoppy, I'm doing very well. I know it's probably best that I'm actually coming on a little later, because it's kind of like the whole saving the best for last part, and I kind of appreciate that. But for the record, our listeners should know that I was more than ready and able to record on Monday night like we always do This is not my doing. It's just the way that things fell because I had things going on after that. So yeah, I'm a busy girl. Well, this week I am. Not usually, but this week I am. So, and it's fun stuff.
I also like how I'm the only one that actually knows what Willie said about you on part 1 currently.
Yeah, that's a little sneaky, but that's okay because I know that Willie's going to hear whatever I say, and I also don't mind saying it either to him via text or to his face. So I'm not going to like badmouth him or anything or give him a hard time, which I more than I would in person.
Okay, that's fair. Well, we figured that we should just kick you off the podcast for winning this year's race winner picks by picking the 5 car at Vegas.
Well, I imagine there's some hard feelings there, but I'm pretty sure I picked last week, didn't I? So y'all had a chance to pick whoever the hell you wanted, if I remember correctly.
yeah, that's true. I skipped Larson because I didn't want to believe the hype, and he only went out there, won both stages in the race. Now, Checky,
and still won.
Did you hear the quote from Cliff Daniels when he was asked about if he would give that save Larson made in stage 2 a 10 out of 10 on the save scale? Did you hear what Cliff Daniels said?
What did he say?
He said, I give it about a 9.3 because he hit the wall.
Well, I think in that particular case, the wall was his friend. So I'm glad the wall was there to help catch him a little bit.
Yeah, and actually the way he saved the car was pretty. It's something you'd pull off in like iRacing and be like, whoa, I can't believe that worked out. But he actually pulled it off in real life because he realized that the overcorrection was sort of not working. So he just all out locked down the brakes, and then that slid him straight into the wall as opposed to spinning already. And it bought him enough time to slide into the wall with the corner. And of course, then the wall straightened him out just a little bit. So, and it all happened, almost instantaneously. So, if he hadn't locked down the brakes like he did at that moment with the, and then come off the wall like he did without still overcorrecting, there's a million ways to screw that up. And of course, Larson pulled it off when he had the race winning car.
Yeah, that was pretty spectacular. So with your mention of the iRacing like move, are you putting it in the category of like the Ross Chastain, like pedal to the metal, don't lift at Martinsville, along those lines? Because it's a totally different situation. I feel like Ross's was just, ballsy for sure. And then Larson's is a little bit of luck, right? Because you don't pull this stuff off without a little bit of luck. Things going your way to some extent. But then obviously tremendous talent in car control. So I feel like he has those aspects locked down. Even though he gets wild sometimes and he's pushing it maybe more than we'd like him to if we're Larson fans. But he's exciting and he's, as Freddie would say, phenomenal.
Yeah. It wasn't a Ross Chastain Hail Millen or whatever the hell people are calling that. It wasn't one of those, but I did think when it happened, okay, he screwed that up. He's going backwards a little bit. He lost some track position. I figured like, okay, now, we'll see who else emerges in this race. And I did not really expect him to come back and win that stage or the race. So that was pretty crazy. But, any of these guys that really have a great car like that, on a particular day, they can definitely get it done. And, the margin of victory you were telling me was nearly a record in and of itself for Las Vegas. What did you say about that?
Yeah. So the winner of the first race, meaning of the first last round, you know what I mean? Like to get into the championship, first race, winner went on to win like the championship 4 times. And then the margin of victory, 0.082, which was impressive because I was watching Larson and I had my eye on Seabell. And for a second I was like, oh, he's got him, no problem. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is not no problem. Like, he's coming like a freight train. And this was very, concerning. Because of course I was pulling for Larson. And so 0.082 margin of victory, second closest, topped only by a 0.045 between Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. So pretty outstanding, pretty spectacular. I was so impressed with Christopher for the way he was able to track him down. And I'm not sure he wouldn't have needed much more time to accomplish that. But that's not the first time. We've seen guys track the leader down, and if they just had a couple more laps, right? And it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Exciting finish, I thought.
Oh, yeah. No, and actually, I tweeted at you to watch that clip from Christopher Bell's in-car. Did you watch that on Twitter?
I'm going to have to rewatch it because it feels like forever ago.
Well,
because of
damn.
point this week. But yeah, for sure. That was pretty awesome.
Well, what I was trying to get at with that run or that view was Bell had that run going coming into 3, and he saw the lap traffic on the bottom of 3 and 4. He knew Larson was going to sort of use up the middle of the track, but he knew the lap car was going to be also, causing Larson not to be on the very bottom. So I don't understand why he didn't, take it high and sort of manage the run for maximum run off the quarter, but angle down low and try to at least show Larson that he was going to cut low and maybe double back up high or make some sort of double move. He just basically ran into the back of Larson, and that was it.
Yeah, so do you think, clearly Christopher has this, he's not trying to help Kyle out at all. But you have to wonder, like, do you get, I don't know, I don't want to say nervous, because I don't think he's nervous, like, oh my gosh, I'm scared to do something. But like, I think in the heat of the moment, you have like fractions of seconds to make decisions, and you feel like you're committing, and you just got to go, right?
Yeah. Well,
and it's safe to some extent because, like, if you push it too hard, and this car has been forgiving to an extent. But then I've also seen many times where, like, it feels like, boom, guy's out. He's done. Like, you're on the damage clock and you can't make it in your race. Your day is done. And obviously, it would have been the end of Christopher's day at the end. So do you want the win, but at what cost? Because if you don't get it, you're fucking yourself over.
He's coming off a 4, so you have to imagine he wouldn't. It could only be so bad. But I think the main thing that occurred to me about that is he hasn't really been in that kind of a. He of course doesn't, of anybody out there, I think he definitely doesn't want to take out Kyle Larson because they've had a few run-ins and they have a lot of respect for each other as dirt racers, and neither of them wants to, take each other out, certainly. But I think he mismanaged that run, and I think he's going to never forget the way he mismanaged that run in that particular race. I think it's going to get in his head a little bit for these next 2 races. I don't think he's going to make the final 4. And I think this, mismanaging that run is going to be a, psychological contributing factor as to why that he's not going to forget for forever. Because it's just not something he's not going to get that do-over. But maybe in the future he'll get some other, last lap chances. If you think about it, I can't really recall, any other situations where Christopher Bell's been in like a last lap, last turn situation. It's just not been a position he's been in because he's either wrecked or taken himself out of the race before that, or the races he has won, he's already like secured the lead well before the last lap, last turn. So it was just kind of a different experience for him in this car going against Kyle Larson, I guess. But that does bring up the question of, the point situation. Obviously, Willie and I talked about how we had Ryan Blaney go from 17 down to 56 down to 17 down with the penalty not heard around the world, and so now we're looking at a situation where basically we've got 4 guys fighting, like almost tied for 3 spots, and that could tighten even further, certainly here at Homestead. So, are you feeling like, we're looking at the top 4, even though it's close right now, or do you think somebody from outside of that top 4 is still going to get in?
It's interesting because my response, as maybe everybody's does, like seems to adjust every week, right? Because last week I was fairly convinced that someone was going to shoot up and mix this up, and we were going to have an invader from that 5 through 8 position jump up into the 4. And as I look at it again, I mean, part of me wants to say, man, these guys are so tight. They are going to stay where they are. Larson's obviously already locked in. Byron is solid, not with his lead. I'm not saying, a +9 is going to get him in, but just like the races that he's got left. And I feel like his demeanor, his style, like he's solid. MTJ still a little bit of a wild card, right? It really, like, we still haven't seen the outstanding performance overall. Let's say overall because of driver and team, right? If you want to talk about the decision in pit stops and calls and what are we doing when, and obviously he's had some bad luck, but yeah, I don't know about him. Hamlin, I feel like is in. So if anyone's going to fall out, I do feel like it's MTJ, even though he did have a more solid performance recently. But we still have Reddick as a little bit of a wild card too, because right, isn't he kind of favored at Homestead like he would have been Vegas, right? Where is he in this mix? He only finished 7th. I mean, it's not a terrible finish, but you obviously have to step it up. If you look at the finishing order for the top 10 and looking where the playoff guys, they're all up in there, right? And so it's not like I can be like, oh well, I'm just going to finish in the top 10 and point my way in, because everybody else pretty much, unless they have a mulligan, right, is finishing in the top 10. So you got to get those stage points. You got to do something better. So I don't really want to waffle around, but like if I have to make a choice, I say Reddick slides in and MTJ slides out.
Yeah.
But I wish I had more confidence in me saying that, because I don't. You know what I mean? I would not put a ton of money on that because I just feel like there's so much volatility in this point spread here. And with the talent that remains for where we're going next, to jump into that winner's circle and clinch, like, I don't know. I still think there's a lot of movement.
I feel like if Reddick doesn't jump in front of somebody at Homestead, I don't think he's doing it at Martinsville.
Right.
And if Blaney and Buescher don't win at Martinsville, I don't think they're in either. So, because Blaney and Buescher are not winning at Homestead. So, I don't. And who else does that leave? Who am I forgetting?
Bell, but you already wrote him off.
Bell. Yeah, I already wrote him off. He's psychologically crushed. He's weak-minded.
Oh God, yeah, but if you think
he got his bell wrong.
Just last year, and my memory is terrible, so you're gonna have to.
No, he did go out and win Martinsville when it was do or die.
Right? I mean, those are, granted, they might not have been last lap clinches like you were talking about a moment ago, but like, how much more clutch can you get than that? I know obviously it didn't propel him to a championship victory.
I don't think you don't catch that lightning in a bottle twice, especially 2 years in a row. I just don't see it happening. But he still can race his way in, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, certainly I'm nervous about Martin Truex. I do think that he can certainly, obviously he needs to go out and score stage points and run good at Homestead. Obviously he doesn't have to win there, but certainly I feel like if Truex did if he did win at Homestead somehow, it would definitely like really get this, next 2 races people pumped up, because right now everybody's just like scratching their head over Truex and sort of writing him off, and it would really be awesome if he could go out there and win Homestead. So we'll see. And I think that team's certainly capable of nailing it. They just haven't quite been nailing it. Haven't been good in traffic. So they need to qualify well. They need to not overthink stuff and just put a good race together. But
I think, I don't know. I am, and I imagine the competition is it's just a matter of time. and he is running out of time, but he could turn it. It's like it could happen any weekend, and so obviously the competition needs to be on notice for that. It's just, is it going to be this weekend when he goes back to form, right? And we've been anxiously waiting for that to happen, and they've fallen short. So yeah, I'd still like to see it happen because I want to see that resurgence. So I'm there with you, Hoppy.
Yeah, so we'll have to tune in to find out. That's why this is so exciting. But I do think it's been, an interesting year, although not too surprising of a playoff so far. We may have some more surprises in store for us. Who knows? Like, for example, even one thing that would be interesting / surprising is if none of these 8 guys won the next 2 races. I know that's not super likely, but that could happen too, and then it really comes down to 3 people on points, and that could get real interesting too. So I'll just have to see.
I'm there for that. That was exciting too.
Yeah.
I don't think NASCAR necessarily loves it a whole lot. They seem to like the playoff guys winning. Like that's a big thing, which I understand because they're dominating and doing awesome. But I kind of like the unknown piece of not knowing and not just having a spot available for the winner, but like a true points battle through the end. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Now, Checky, I already said that you picked the winner in the 5 car. That gives you 5 predictions correct this year. Of course, Willy had none. He has yet to pick a race winner this year. I had 3. So rather than you getting your 5th one, I needed to get my 4th one to tie you. But that's not what happened. So congratulations on a great year. Technically it's not over, but I would have to win out. So we'll see.
I am there, Hoppy. But I appreciate you at least acknowledging it, because usually I'm the one who has to remind you guys, oh, by the way, I won, because nobody wants to talk about it. So I appreciate you being very forthcoming with that this time.
Well, Willy and I took the liberty of going ahead and making our homestead picks, as we should have anyway. So I will share with you that Willy, of course, had first pick as usual, and he now took Kyle Larson a week late. But maybe not. It is homestead, where Larson's probably going to go out there and win 2 in a row. So he took Larson. I took Hamlin because I feel like Hamlin could turn it on too. So Larson and Hamlin are off the table. So you got everybody else to choose from at homestead.
Okay, that sounds good to me. You know what? Not much of a leap, but I'm going to do it. I know this isn't going to be super popular, but that's okay. I am going to go with Reddick for the hell of it, to see if he redeems himself and locks in. Because this is his chance. It's now or never, right? Let's roll the dice.
Yeah, good. Definitely not a bad pick. All right. And we also did the good race poll already, and Willy and I both already know what the result was, but you don't, right?
I do. I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay. That means we still have a game here. So I will tell you that you were up to pick last anyway, I believe. And
then.
Yeah, so it all worked out. So Willy guessed a 57.0 good race. I guessed a 68.8 good race.
Cool.
Last year's Vegas race was at 85.6. Willy and I were basically just talking about how, like, other than Larson's save and sort of the finish right at the end, we weren't thinking it was all that great of a race, in the grand scheme of things. And so that's why we both went a little bit low. But so he was 57, I was 68.8. What you got?
All right. So I personally enjoyed the race, but I also enjoy many races that the good race poll does not. So rarely do I find myself agreeing with them. So I am going to, not necessarily to be safe, but just be knowing that I feel like other people are going to vote it down. And I do agree with you. I don't think it was like exciting and glamorous and all these, just all this different drama playing out throughout the whole race. I don't think it was that kind of race to get the high numbers. So I feel comfortable splitting the difference. Not the difference per se, but taking a look at your numbers. I don't want to be in the 50s. So I'm going to roll. Oh, how about I like 62-2.
That's what I was wondering, if you would fall victim to the middle pick, and you did. The result is it's at a 73. So
Okay.
people liked it
Well,
more than we thought.
Yeah, because I feel like the poll is usually much lower than I feel like it should be. So,
Yeah.
all right, I'll take it. That's okay. It's okay because I got the race winner. I don't need to do the poll winner, so I'm glad to hand that one off.
All right, and of course, Willie and I couldn't do any headlines because you weren't there. So you got any good headlines for us this week?
I do have some headlines for you guys. So, let's see. Obviously, I'm sure you talked about the whole Ryan Blaney situation. Did y'all cover that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because that was the talk.
He had shrinkage in his linkage was the conclusion.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm glad they got that resolved, apparently. I don't know. So yeah, let's see what else we got. I didn't actually see this, and I was pretty disappointed not to see it, but I was unfortunately not able to visually watch a lot of the race. I was listening intently, doing some farm work, and then I did get to see a little bit of it on the TV. But two fans actually got married at the track during a Kevin Harvick pit stop, which I'm not sure how that was orchestrated, and did somebody win a contest or what the hell happened, but that sounds pretty cool to me. Which was like, what, 13 seconds or whatever, whatever. So the marriage, they had to be quick about it, but yeah,
that's
pretty
weird.
Cool stuff.
I never heard that one before.
Very Vegas, right? If you're going to do that shit, Vegas is the place. I am curious. I saw a picture and it didn't look like an Elvis. And I think if you're going to get married in Vegas, and do something crazy like that, you should still have an Elvis officiating the wedding. So, kind of a big deal. I presume a lot of folks have maybe heard about this, but Matt Kenseth, surprise, is joining Legacy Motor Club, not as a driver, but as a competition advisor. As we are moving, obviously, over to Toyota next year, he's going to be providing guidance and strategy on competition, as well as mentoring their drivers, John Hunter Nemechek and Jones as well. So I don't know, definitely out of left field for me. Just like, wow, okay, that's cool. I am curious. I can't help but wonder, like Jimmy will hop in the car on occasion. Would Matt hop in the car on occasion? Because that'd be pretty damn cool too. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm down for whatever Matt Kenseth wants to do, because I'd rather see him, doing something closer to racing. I think Matt Kenseth is very underrated in a lot of ways. He's got a great sense of humor, and he's a hell of a driver, and so I love that move. He's a champion. It gets him back working with Jimmy Johnson. And I'm very curious to see what Legacy does. Jimmy's got a lot of sway, obviously, as a 7-time. So I love that idea of getting. He can get more champions involved too, for all I care. I'm down for anything involving Matt Kenseth, I think.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I wasn't personally a fan of Matt, but he's a great driver and just one of those guys. And his career is, if you think about it, was really like, he wasn't a flashy guy. He wasn't leading all of the time, and he would be that guy that's in the top 10 when you need to be there at the end of the race to be in striking distance. And he just always magically seemed to appear, regardless of how his actual race progressed, from the standpoint of them showing the leaders all the time. So he's just one of those guys that was always seemed to be a threat. And he has been keeping current. He was a part, not full time with the SRX series, but he's done some racing. He not so great on the dirt with them, as I recall, but definitely doing really well with their asphalt tracks. So I hope he decides to kind of jump in in addition to his official role as competition advisor. But yeah, I'd like to see him in the car too. So yes, definitely a good move by Legacy. So congrats to them for landing him. Super cool. I actually saw this on NASCAR.com, and Willie pointed out as well to us in our group text that there's this chick, and her name, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway. Her name is Jen Calandrillo, and she went from being a bank branch manager to an over-the-wall fueler in the Xfinity Series, which I think is outstanding. And she was of course met with some criticism and probably fairly so. Like, you're a little old for this transition. She was 45 years old apparently at the time. Which is not usually when you turn over that kind of leaf, especially as it's related to over the wall positions. And she didn't weigh enough because apparently she was too light to carry. Even if she had muscle, she was too light. So she put on the weight and did the work, and she is fueling up cars in Xfinity, which I think is outstanding. Good for her. That's super cool story. So, and it gives me a little bit of hope because she's not a spring chicken. So maybe there's some hope for me. Not that I want to fuel cars. I don't. But super cool. So anyway, check that story out. It's a good read. Very, very cool stuff. Let's see. We should probably mention that, and this was a surprise to me. Maybe it shouldn't have been. There are lots of surprises to me. Carson Hocevar gets signed to Spire. Spire has been doing so much. They have been making move after move after move. It's been pretty crazy. I definitely wasn't anticipating Hocevar. I didn't know anyone was gonna have room or that was gonna be a thing.
I think this move makes sense because you don't go buying all the charters and buildings and teams and everything they've been investing in and not go get yourself a hot young prospect like that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously, how he landed in his situation. He obviously lucked out with a little bit of help from Noah, right? But he has put on such a great, and I say show. He has not been flashy and in the top 10 and challenging for a win, right? But he has.
No, but he's managed to do what I think it's not only like if you'd say like, if it was Josh Berry that we were talking about here when he ran decent a couple times, you'd be like, yeah, that was good. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to go out there, fill in, run good, run clean. But I think it's also with Hocevar is the contrast of the fact that he's gotten such a bad rap as being a loose cannon and, a young sort of, whippersnapper, that he hasn't acted like that at all. So he's kind of set himself up to be like, he set the bar real low, and now he's a tall bastard. He jumped right over that bar.
Yes, good point. Well, he definitely, he had a little, we'll say he was a little rough around the edges, and thankfully he was listening to Dale Jr. and whoever else was talking in his ear about settling down, kind of getting your shit straight. And and to me, like, obviously I don't have the money. I'm not the one financing this effort, but like, you want somebody who's going to be coachable, right? You want someone who's going to be able to take direction from a mentor, right? If you have a Matt Kenseth kind of situation like Legacy does, you want someone who's going to want to listen to and be coachable to someone like that, as well as, based on what the crew chief wants and kind of have those conversations and develop in that way. And he's shown himself, in my opinion, proven himself on the track. I know he doesn't have a large sample size, but to be able to handle yourself in those situations, very impressive. I was not expecting that from him when he was announced to kind of be filling in. I didn't have high expectations, and he's really outperformed what I thought he was going to do. And attitude wise too. So good for him. Congrats on that sign. Big deal. I wanted to mention, this is kind of random, but that's okay. HendrickCars.com, right? That's been Kyle Larson's sponsor since he rejoined NASCAR. They've had Valvoline, I think, and maybe a couple other things, but it's primarily been HendrickCars.com, which we kind of initially thought was because
it's Rick signing the check.
But you need a sponsor, and it made sense. I'm working for Hendrick, they sponsor me, right? And yeah, that's awesome. But I actually read an article that talked about the financial benefit And they just mentioned in last year alone, revenue like $12 billion. So they really feel like that ROI, that return on investment for what, it costs them to kind of have that platform, is really like paying dividends and competing with like Carvana and anything else. And obviously Hendrick has the name and Kyle Larson is outstanding. So it just seems to make sense for them. It just happens to be Hendrick and he drives for Hendrick. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. Hadn't heard anything about that. I just, we just all initially kind of presumed, well, oh yeah, they don't have anybody else, so slap that on the car. But
yeah, I was wondering that. It's interesting you brought that up, because this year I was even wondering about that a couple times to myself, thinking like, I wonder, like, surely by this point they could get other sponsors for Larson, but they just don't. Don't have any reason to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's working out, obviously financially, I'm sure they would be open to better offers or open to maybe splitting it up. And, like as they divvy out like these tracks and this tracks for, as they have different primary sponsors, I'm sure they'd be willing to wheel and deal for the money. But yeah, I mean, if it's working out, and obviously you got those T-shirts and jackets.
Well, the other thing about that though is, why complicate it? If you know that you can essentially have a good investment on the 5 car with Larson, and you can keep almost like a leaner sales and marketing effort on what you got going on with your other 3 cars, that further simplifies things.
For sure. Yeah. It's kind of like maybe putting money in your own pocket, which kind of works too, which is nice.
Hey,
last but not
say
least,
pay yourself first, Checky.
That's true. You are supposed to pay yourself first. Last but not least, I can't really let this opportunity pass me by because I'm a huge Newman fan. And so Newman was scheduled to run this past weekend at South Boston with the Smart Modified Series. And I was very excited about this. But on Sunday, which is, the race was originally scheduled to be Saturday, and it was run Sunday because of weather concerns. And I don't even remember what time it was. It could have been 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock Sunday morning. There's an announcement coming off of Ryan's page. He's very sorry. He won't be there to participate. He's apologizing to his fans, which I thought was really nice. And he said, it was a very interesting post, and it said something like, because of due to internal politics, I won't be able to participate today. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean exactly? I still don't know what that means. I was very curious about that, and obviously Ryan's not going to elaborate any further, that he's leaving that at that. But I'm not quite sure what the internal politics are. He has a teammate relationship with Bobby Labonte, and Bobby was there in Bobby's car, and I didn't have a chance to watch the race yet on Flow, which I will, to see the outcome, to see was somebody in Ryan's car, which is totally possible, or maybe it wasn't ready, or I have no idea. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then conspiracy theory, because we like to talk about those too. I thought maybe there's an issue with the ex-wife and the children and something. So who the hell knows? But he wasn't able to race, but that's okay. I have an exciting follow-up announcement, which is he is going to be in Homestead this weekend. Not only is he going to be racing the Rick Ware ride, which was not on his original schedule, but he's going to be racing in the Xfinity Series. So watch out, y'all.
Okay. The one piece of news that comes to mind for me this week is I heard about Sheldon Creed saying he's leaving RCR.
Yes. Without an announcement of where he might be going, but I don't know if we should safely presume anything, because you just never know in this series, that he doesn't necessarily have anything lined up yet, but hopefully he does, because it's not great to leave it. Well, even with Noah, he left the job without having a job, which is always, I don't know, a little risky. So we'll see. I like Sheldon a lot. I think he's awesome. I think he has not had the season that anyone expected him to have. I think we had a lot of expectations, but I don't feel like he is, underperforming. He's washed up, whatever. I think he's very talented, and I would really like to see him continue on, whether it's Xfinity or at some point landing Cup. He's awesome. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how, I wonder what it is about RCR that for him is like, sorry, this is not a fit, and I got to go somewhere else, versus somebody like Austin Hill, who's Mr. Country Boy, that has not only won at RCR and ran good, but has basically said like RCR is where he wants to be. I feel like Austin Hill's almost like content to just drive for RCR and Xfinity, even if that means he might not even get the same shot that he could as far as landing a different Cup ride or something like that at some point, or maybe eventually he becomes the heir to the Austin Dillon ride or something. I don't know.
Right. Boy, that's a tough one. Because, Austin started the season, I don't remember what it was, but he was knocking off wins left and right. He racked up win after win after win. So, yeah, it's hard to imagine him not wanting to jump Cup, especially obviously the prestige, but the money and, competing at the top level. But I guess, in his particular situation, maybe he feels more comfortable being patient, and he might want to ride this out a little bit. And Sheldon obviously not feeling like that. I don't know. Obviously I don't know the internal situation. I haven't really heard anything about it either. Do those guys get along? Do they feel like they're both vying for top dog within Xfinity? I don't know how that stuff works, but I like both of the guys, and obviously they're both very talented. So I'm going to be super interested to see where Sheldon lands.
Yeah, most definitely.
And we should probably throw a congrats out to Riley Herbst for winning the race.
Yep. All right, Checky. This podcast is about to get as long as it would, and we already got 30 minutes to add on with Willie. So I got to ask you at this point, do you have anything else to say to our wonderful listeners out there before we march into Homestead, Miami?
I just want them to know that I love and appreciate them, and not to throw Willie under the bus or anything, but I already did that. Because it's true. I was here for you guys Monday night. We could have done this, but that's okay. Good things come to those who wait, just like this podcast. So enjoy, and we will look forward to catching y'all after the Homestead race.
Woo! All right. Everybody, we were cruising into Homestead, Miami, feeling good. Hope to see some good racing there. It's a driver's track, and we're going to see who drives it the best. So for everybody here on the Off the Chain podcast, be good. Don't work too hard. We won't. We'll catch you on the other side of Miami. Peace out.
Woo woo.
Yeah, and we did it.
Let me see the track. Don't let us smoke in my way. That's what it takes to make a race driver's day. We have a hot charger. That's all I am. Just let me be a hard charger.